Bleacher Report proposes another wild Julius Randle trade, and I'm here to break it all down. All that and much more on the Knicks Digest. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel from Knicks Digest, and let's get right into today's video. So, Bleacher Report has Julius Randle going to the Charlotte Hornets, and it has Grant Williams coming to the New York Knicks. And as you can see here, the New York Knicks get Grant Williams, Nick Richards, a $15.9 million trade exception, a $2.1 million trade exception for Jericho Sims. And the Charlotte Hornets, they get Julius Randle, Jericho Sims, Corey Kispert, and Marvin Bagley III. I should mention that the Washington Wizards are a part of this trade. As you can see here, Josh Green will be going to the Washington Wizards. Cody Martin will be going to the Washington Wizards. And the Washington Wizards also get a 2025 Wizards protected first rounder from the Knicks. They also get a 2025 Detroit Pistons protected first rounder from the Knicks. Now, I am here to say no, 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 and no. The one thing that I've come around on is we need to give Julius Randle this season. We have the pieces besides that backup or the main five, which this trade does answer, and I'll get to that point in a little bit. But as far as Julius Randle, no. We need to keep him on this team. I want to see what Julius Randle does this season. I want to see everybody healthy. Barring injury, Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, Dante, Randall, Mitchell Robinson, hopefully they can stay healthy. But if we have a fully healthy team, I fully expect the Knicks to challenge the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. One, if we don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, barring injury, it's a disappointing season. I'm sorry to put that pressure on the Knicks organization, but it's true. With the amount of talent that we have collected, with the leadership of Jalen Brunson, with the immersion of Jalen Brunson and him being in the top point guards in the league, for best players in the league, we undoubtedly have an opportunity to win the Eastern Conference Finals. We undoubtedly have an opportunity to challenge the Boston Celtics. Now, the Boston Celtics, of course, they're the creme de la creme of the Eastern Conference, and you can make the argument that they actually won the NBA Finals without their, third best player with Kristaps Porzingis because he went out with injury. But the New York Knicks and Julius Randle, we as Knicks fans who are not a huge Julius Randle fan, we need to give him the benefit of the doubt for this season. This upcoming season, he has the pieces around him. He has Jalen Brunson. He has Mikal and OG Anunoby. We're not going to ask Julius Randle to be guarding Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. That's why we have OG Anunoby, and that's why we have Mikal Bridges. Depending on what we do with that starting big man spot or the backup big man spot, we're not going to be asking Julius Randle to guard the other team's big man. And if we do have Julius Randle guarding the other team's best big man or their backup big man, then we're in a little bit of a situation. In the Bleacher Report article, they try and give Grant Williams the benefit of the doubt. They say that Williams is the better defender and shooter over Julius Randle. He isn't traditionally tall, but he plays bigger and he has a team-friendly contract. And of course, within that trade, the Knicks, they addressed the loss of Isaiah Hartenstein with Nick Richards, who's on the contract for 2 years. Now, going towards the first point where Grant Williams, he's a better defender and shooter and he has a team-friendly contract, that may be all true, but what about the chemistry that Grant Williams has shown in his last two stops? Towards the end of his Boston Celtics tenure, there were rumors and there were reports saying that him and Joe Mazzulla, they didn't get along. Joe Mazzulla's rookie year, Grant Williams and him were butting heads, and then he got traded to Dallas. And then I think the reports coming out of Dallas was that Grant Williams, he didn't like the chemistry, he didn't like the energy level of the whole Dallas team, the organization, and he was the one to try to step out of bounds and really try to rile Luka up and try to make him play more defense. Well, that's Luka's team, that's Luka's organization. He probably told Mark Cuban or whoever it was at the time that he didn't like that, so they shipped Grant Williams out of there, and he went to the Charlotte Hornets, which is where he ended the season last season. Speaking of last season, let's look at the numbers. Grant Williams, last season averaged 10.3 points, 4.2 rebounds, 2.3 assists in the 76 games that he played in 2023-2024 season. Like I said, maybe half of that season he was with Dallas, and then he got shipped to the Charlotte Hornets. So as far as these aren't the numbers for just when he was with the Charlotte Hornets. These numbers do include the Dallas Mavericks tenure when he was with them. But if we compare last season, Grant Williams' numbers to Julius Randle's numbers, prior to him messing up his shoulder. Grant Williams, you see here, played in 76 games. Julius Randle, he played 46 games. In last season, he averaged 24 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 5 assists. And he was selected to play in his third All-Star game. And if we break down the numbers, let's take a look at his field goals. So he made 8.6 field goals on 18.2 field goal attempts. That equates to 47.2. And as far as Grant Williams, field goal made, it was 3.6 out of 8 field goal attempts, which equates to 45.6%. Grant Williams three-pointers, he made about 1.7 on 4.4 three-point attempts, which is 37.5%. Julius Randle for three-pointers, he made 1.7 on 5.3 three-point attempts, which equates to 31.1%. So, I mean, the numbers on the numbers, but in my opinion, I've always been an old school guy. I like to use the eye test. And as far as a player, I'm taking Julius Randle over Grant Williams any and every day. Now, that's not to say that Grant Williams is not a good NBA player, but you also got to take into account the little intangibles, the reports coming out of the Boston Celtics towards the end of his tenure, the reports coming out of Dallas with him and Luka, and the way that he tried to get Luka to be more of a overall type player, and they shipped him out. Grant Williams might be getting the short end of the stick, but I'm rolling with Julius Randle. But I do want to talk about what this trade does for the Knicks. This trade does answer one problem that the Knicks have currently, which is the big man spot. So last season was Nick Richards' rookie season. He averaged 9.7 points, 8 rebounds, and 1.1 blocks in 67 games. The key number that I'm looking at is the 67 games. And with this trade, we don't get rid of Mitchell Robinson. So Mitchell Robinson, if he's able to stay healthy, he would probably end up being the starting big. And then we got Nick Richards coming off the bench, backing up Mitchell Robinson. And the one thing that I've been saying in the last few videos that I've been putting out is that the big man spot for this upcoming season, it might make or break our season. Barring injury, if Brunson and everybody else and the rest of the gang is healthy, that big man spot, that is our weakness. Mitchell Robinson, we just don't know if we can rely on him. We don't know if we can rely on him. In the last few seasons, he's been a bit injury prone. And then our backup big currently is Precious Achiuwa. And we may be looking to trade Precious Achiuwa and use his contract towards the trade deadline of this upcoming season. But of course, we got to wait and see what the Knicks are going to try to do around that time, who they're going to try and target. But up until this moment, we can only talk about the players that are on the roster. And right now, that big man line of Mitchell Robinson and Precious Achiuwa, if we're looking at the rest of the NBA, if we're talking about the Boston Celtics with Al Horford, Mr. Old and Reliable, Kristaps Porzingis, who might end up being healthy next season. Who knows, because he's injury prone. We're looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves. They got Rudy. They got Cat. We're looking at Denver with Jokic. We're looking at Miami with Bam Adebayo. We're looking at Philadelphia with Andre Drummond backing up Joel Embiid. Like, this trade does answer that question, but in giving up Julius Randle, we are giving away a really big piece of the team, and we are giving a really big reason as to why we're going to be able to contend for the Eastern Conference Finals. Julius Randle, as much as he has hiccups to his game, primarily being a ball stopper, this upcoming season, I feel like we're going to learn a lot about him. We're going to learn a lot about just what type of person, what type of player Julius Randle is, because of this upcoming season in the training camp, if we hear reports and we see articles coming out that he's not happy with his role, he's not happy with the amount of touches that he's getting, then we kind of know this upcoming season it might end up being a bit of a nightmare with all the talent that we attracted in the offseason. But the opposite could also happen. We could see Julius Randle being happy with being that number 2 option, which he was starting to be right before his shoulder injury last year, and really just blossom as a player. I mean, prior to last season, he made 2 out of the last 3 All-NBA teams. He made 2 out of the last 3 All-Star games. Like, Julius Randle was flourishing under the New York Knicks. And now that he has the talent around him, Charles Barkley recently went on a podcast with Bill Simmons, and Charles Barkley says that when you play with other great players, it actually makes the game so much easier. Because when you're pretty much the only best player on your team, the team and the organization, they're counting on you every night to get your numbers. If you're averaging 28 and 10, the team and organization, they're counting on you to get 28 and 10 just to compete. And mind you, you got to keep in mind that the defenses, they're having defensive schemes to stop you from getting your numbers, because then you're going to give your team the best opportunity to just be competitive in that game. So now Julius Randle has the talent all around him. Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. He has Dante and Josh Hart coming off the bench. The responsibility that Julius Randle had on his shoulders prior to Jalen Brunson getting on the team has diminished. It's not there anymore. Julius Randle doesn't have to have all this pressure on his shoulders. Now, where the pressure does come in, Julius Randle does have to show up when it matters. Because in my opinion, this is Jalen Brunson's team. Jalen Brunson is the first option, even though as a hooper, and that's the whole conversation right now between hooper and basketball player, but me having played, you know the dynamic of the team once you step on the floor. And even as a fan with your own two eyes, you can see that this is Jalen Brunson's team. You can see that the team goes as he goes. So Julius Randle, I do have to respect him taking a step back with all the success he's had in his career, taking a step back and realizing that he just has somebody else that he kind of has to give the ball to. Like I said earlier, prior to his shoulder injury, it looks like he was really accepting that role. But now this season is a little different. With the amount of talent that they've been able to attract in this offseason, there is no excuse besides injury. There is no excuse as to why we should not be competitive in the Eastern Conference. There's no excuse as to why we should not be challenging the Boston Celtics coming out of the Eastern Conference. So for this upcoming season, I'm putting my Julius Randle hate to the side. Now, that's not to say that I'm not going to be watching Julius Randle like a hawk. I'm going to be looking at the body language. I'm going to be looking at if he's going to be crying and whining about the touches and all that stuff. But I'm going to put my Julius Randle hate to the side. I'm going to give him a fair shot to see what he's going to be able to prove to us as Knicks fans. And as Knicks fans, this is the first time that we have a legitimate shot of coming out of the East since the Patrick Ewing days. That Carmelo Anthony one season where they made it to the second round, losing to the Indiana Pacers in 6 games. Like, yeah, that might have been. It was just a flash in the pan. Ever since then, we haven't really had a real chance. This season. This is the first time that we've had a real chance of coming out of the Eastern Conference. So hopefully Julius Randle, he understands his role. Hopefully Julius Randle will do whatever he can to make this team successful. But guys, that's it for today's video. I want to say thank you so much for checking it out. Leave it in the comments and let me know what you guys think about this blasphemous of a proposed trade from Bleacher Report, sending Grant Williams to the New York Knicks alongside Nick Richards, sending Julius Randle and Jericho Sims to the Charlotte Hornets. But until next time, you know the drill, you know the vibes. Jalen Brunson for MVP. The deuce is loose for co-MVP. Taj Gibson for president, wherever you are. Mikal Bridges for Defensive Player of the Year. And until next time, I'm out. Peace.